Gurren Lagann is a Japanese mecha anime television series animated by Gainax and co-produced by Annie Pulek, and the plot focuses on two teenagers, Simon and Kamina, who live in an underground village and wish to go to the surface. Using a mecha known as Lagann, Simon and Kamina reach the surface and start fighting alongside other humans against Lord Gimano's forces, before fighting the forces of their true enemy. And it ran for 27 episodes on Tokyo TV between April and September 2007, directed by Hioki Ishimani and written by veteran playwright Kazuki Namahashi, and that's the same dude who wrote Kill la Kill. And apparently it's the same studio that actually created Neon Genesis, which is pretty cool. And what's this show all about? Well, this show is set and kinda has two arcs, but let's get into the main meat of this show. But before I do that, I will have to say this, that it is going to contain spoilers, so I recommend you checking it out. It's only 27 episodes. It will barely take you any time at all. I recommend it to everyone. It is a pretty interesting show to check out. I am guessing all of you guys watching this have already seen the show, so spoiler alert, you have been warned. The first half of this season is actually a pre-time skip, so this is set like 7 years before the big time skip that happens around episode 17. And let's talk about the positive before I kind of ripped this show to shreds. And what I like about this show is Kamina and Simon's bond. Like, I love these two dudes and they're so different from one another, yet they rely on each other so much. Simon relies so much on Kamina, and with great reason. This dude has such a presence about him that just inspires and pulls everyone together. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling low, he just has those words. Don't believe in the me that believes in you. Believe in the you that believes in yourself. And you hear those words and it just forces Simon to always just go and do his very best and to never give up, not until the very end. And I like that about him. Simon obviously wants to be like Kamina, and he's a bit envious of him at times, especially when Yoko has feelings for Kamina in the show. And you do see how he's just kind of like, he's trying to be like his bro. He wants to be like his bro, and in the time skip obviously he's kind of trying to be like him. And I like how Simon is just, Kamina is his everything. Like, even though Simon is inspired and he's able to inspire others, it's only because of Kamina. And when Kamina is killed off in episode 7, like, not only Simon was surprised, I was surprised as well, because the way the show kind of played out, it looked like Kamina was the main character of the show. Like, maybe Simon, but it looked like Kamina was like the more focused one. He was the leader, he was the dude, like, he really was. I thought it was going to be a more like a All Might and Deku type of situation where maybe something happened to Kamina, but he's still alive, but he's kind of, disabled in some way. And maybe Kamina has to kind of be Simon's mentor in the future, but it goes into a different direction where Kamina is killed off. I actually thought it was a really powerful plot point, because Simon, this dude is now in depression. Like, he can't even come to terms with Kamina's death, and he starts being reckless. He starts losing everything. And I like how the animation style started to change. It was once this vibrant looking spectacle, and it's just dreary and dark, and it's always raining. And I like the little touches to Simon's little eyes, how he's just lost that glint until he meets Nia, and that's when his whole life, and I like how Nia shows Simon how he shouldn't strive to be like Kamina, but strive to be himself in a way. That was a good plot point right there, because it kind of comes back to the real world where you shouldn't really try and be like other people, but try and be the best version of yourself. And that's what Nia's trying to tell Simon, and he's able to just come out on top and just do what he's got to do. And that's pretty much why I like the first half of the show so much. It just had a lot of really cool motivational moments. The second half doesn't really have that, because it kind of deals more with the reality of now that Simon's become this hero, and now he's kind of the leader of a main capital place. The anti-spirals are telling the whole world that Team Daigoren and all these other Gurren teams who are trying to come to the surface, it's this was never meant to happen, and now that the moon's going to destroy the world and that humanity is going to be destroyed, and it's all because of them, and putting the blame on poor Simon. And like, dude, like, all this was really tough to watch, to be honest with you. The way Razaru is just kind of like being Simon's second in command, and he's a lot more serious now in the future for some reason. And obviously he does a lot of really harsh decision making, sentencing Simon to death and to try and sacrifice half of humanity to save the other because they can't have enough people to board the ships. It's just, that was all tough. And then we get to see what Raz was truly thinking and how he's just trying to do what he needs to do to be a great leader. And I love the moment where after Simon and the rest of Team Gurren like defeat like some of the anti-spirals in space, and like the world is kind of saved temporarily, like Raziu kind of just feels so bad of what he did, and he's just feeling so down and like depressed. And like we start seeing like the cold heartless facade was just all fake and all that. And I like the moment where Simon tries to save him, and all that stuff was just so great. And Viral had one of the best character growths in this series. Once a member of the Human Eradication Army, loyal to Lord Jumon and the four Supreme Generals, now he's kind of part of Team Gura and like helping Simon. I love that whole journey and like the rivalry between those two, and it was really cool. And he was one of my favorite characters as well, like seeing how far he developed in this series. I like the triumphant music in the like preview last time on Gurren Lagann. It's very upbeat and like triumphant, and it gives you a lot of hope, and you just kind of want to do what you gotta do. The animation when the Gurrens fight does look pretty cool. I like the style of it. It looks really cool and very vibrant, and it has a really cool like look to it. And I really like the time skip. In fact, I feel like the time skip stuff was probably the best part of it. Seeing Simon just kind of like the reality, like seeing Nia go crazy and the truth about her, him being thrown into prison because he went into a battle against the anti-spirals and just caused a lot of like chaos. Everyone in the city just kind of turning against him. All that stuff was just so powerful, and having the return of Yoko was just so cool. She being a teacher. I loved all that. That was so fun. And then she had a little like side story with these smaller character children in the little island, but then she's kind of forced back into action. And I like the whole space fights. They looked really cool and vibrant. It being in space, like you have a lot of the stars and the constellations and the galaxy. You know, these characters all grown up surprised me because I wasn't expecting there to be a time skip. So literally you're watching this whole show, then there's a recap halfway through, then it's like 7 years later, then it's like, whoa, Cena, Nia, they all grown up. Oh my gosh, this looks so cool. And I flipping loved it. I love time skips in anime. It's like the greatest thing ever. I like seeing characters grow up and mature and seeing where the story goes on from there. I feel like the animation slightly improved during the time skips in terms of the character designs and how they toned down on the fan service, because let's get into that negative. And the negative of this show is the fan service, the unnecessary, overused fan service in the first half. Like, my gosh, I've seen fan service in some of these shonen mecha shows, but my gosh, like, that's just too much right there. The amount of like overly sexualizing these 15-16-year-old girls are just, something about it just didn't seem right to me. Like, why? Just why? But I kind of get it, because I mean, it is for teenage boys. I mean, come on, just look at it. The main dude is a 14-year-old kid. It's action, it's adventure, it's mecha. This is a 14-year-old boy's fantasy, and that's the thing with this series. It's meant for 14-year-old boys, and I feel like that is the target audience, because if you're not a 14-year-old boy, you're not gonna really enjoy this show, to be honest with you. You will probably enjoy the time skip stuff more because they tone down the fan service, and the story does get a lot more interesting and a lot more deeper than it was in the first half, where the first half, yeah, it had all that, but it kind of felt like a cartoon at times. There were a lot of episodes that were just kind of like unnecessary, and sadly all the female characters in this show kind of suck, to be honest with you. None of them have any growth or development. they're all there to kind of support all the male characters, to be honest with you. Like every one of them, I feel like they're just either there to fall in love with some of the male characters or to just kind of be there for fan service. And Yoko in this time skip is the only female who actually does get some sort of like independence, and her little development and her growth is kind of apparent in that section. But I can't name you a single female who, or even a male side character. And the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's not just the female characters who get very little character development, it's also the male characters. A lot of them, except for Razuru, are barely in this show. In fact, I feel like they're in it less than the girl characters. Like a lot of these dude characters are just kind of like in the background. Some of them are almost kind of rehashes of previous characters. There's this one dude, I think it's called Kitan. He's kind of a rehash of Kamina, and I like how he's very protective of his little sisters, which is kind of cool and cute. His and Yoko's relationship was interesting because even though he's not Kamina, he's trying to be himself, and it's kind of also leading to this whole theme of like, you gotta be the best version of you, and he was trying to be like Kamina. He envies him, and he obviously has feelings for Yoko, and he just kind of wants to impress her just like the way Kamina did. He's just being himself, and I did like his tragic end, but I kind of feel like he is kind of a rehashed Kamina, to be honest with you. A lot of the other side characters are all kind of in the background, to be honest with you. Vero, Yoko, Kamina, Simon, Rajul, and Nia are like the only characters that are in the spotlight, and they're the ones that we see and we see grow. Like all the side characters are just kind of forgotten about. They're kind of in one episode and we don't see them for like 20 episodes, and then we see them again, and then we're like, oh, okay. And that's the problem with this show, is that I feel like it's really Simon's story in a way. It's kind of Simon and how he's exploring the world. We're kind of watching everything through Simon's eyes in the first part, and then we're starting to see Simon become the Kamina of the story, which I really like. So this is kind of Simon's story in a way. But that's why I didn't really like the show as much as a lot of people set it out to be. The animation got very clunky in the first half at times. It improved in the time skip, but it got very clunky and it became unwatchable sometimes. It felt like 2 frames per second at times, and then the frame rate would drop a lot for some reason, which was strange, and there would be like very rough unfinished drawings. And maybe because of that simplistic art style, they're able to get away with like making some of the animations more simplified, but it wasn't really all that impressive, to be honest with you. And that's pretty much my Gurren Lagann review in a nutshell. It's not the greatest show of all time, but it's not the worst. I recommend it to people, but I feel like there's a lot of other mecha shows out there that kind of do the whole mecha genre a little bit better. Watch Neon Genesis, that does so much better, or even Code Geass. If you don't watch anime, this is a type of show for you to get into it, but be warned that it does feel a bit silly at times and almost a little bit degrading at times for some people. And overall, I'm going to give Gurren Lagann, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm going to give it a C. Yeah, it is what it is, but go check it out. I've already spoiled it for you guys, but like this video, subscribe for more anime and manga reactions and reviews. With that said, thank you for watching. As always, Stringy Bear Reacts signing out.